Okay, I've got that turned down to 750 exactly. You don't want any slop on your piston. We're going to try it on there and see how it goes. That's what you don't want any side-to-side slop or anything like that. You don't want the chance for oil to get up in through there and come squirting out the top. We're going to put an O-ring groove in here, put an O-ring to prevent any oil from getting up through there. The original didn't have it. But this area gets threaded, and then right about the center of the piston, right in this area here, I'm going to cut a little groove and put an O-ring in there, and that'll prevent any high pressure hydraulic oil from creeping in between the joint right here and pushing up through and getting out past the nut. So it's just a little extra insurance that you can do. I like to do it when I'm putting cylinders together. The original one had a washer on top, right in this area, and we'll do the same thing on this one. We'll put a copper crush washer up there and tighten everything down, and we're gaining on it. So let me get this threaded now. Nothing special about that. Just going to put a threading tool in there. There's a million videos on threading and stuff, and I won't go over that here, but I'll get that threaded. I'll get the O-ring groove in, and then we'll get the piston on here and keep moving forward. Okay, I think I got the threads where I need them. We're just going to slip the piston on there and make sure. I've got a lock nut here. You always want to use a lock nut inside a cylinder. And just check and see how that fits. That looks real good, and we've got enough room to let a little bit of the thread stick out past the nylon lock nut, and enough room for a washer in there. So next thing we'll do is set up and cut that O-ring groove. Okay, I'm set up with a small grooving tool that's 90 thousandths wide, and I have a 100 thousandths wide O-ring that's going to go in there. It's an O-ring number 113, and it's a 3/4 OD, and it's 100 thousandths thick, like I said. So we'll go in there with the 90 thousandths cutoff tool, grooving tool, if you will, and just start easing into there until we get the O-ring just above the surface. If we don't make the groove deep enough, we'll put the piston on, it'll just pull the O-ring right out, and if we make it too shallow, it won't do any sealing for us at all. So it's critical the depth that goes in. If any of you guys are doing this at home, take your time, get that groove in there just perfect, and O-ring should be just above flush when you're done. Okay, I think you can see the O-ring in there. We've got the exact width we need. There should be no slop side to side. And like I say, it should just be above the surface. So when I put the piston on, you should feel it hit the O-ring, and with just a little bit of pressure, it'll go right over that, and that will keep any hydraulic fluid from creeping in between the shoulder and the piston and squirting out the top. So take your time, put that O-ring in properly, and you won't have any headaches down the road. Like I say, this is just a single acting cylinder, so we don't want any hydraulic oil on the other side of the piston. So again, you can see about what it takes, and that's a perfect fit on the piston. And just take your time with the O-ring, get the proper size O-ring. There's O-ring charts out there and stuff. Like I say, this is a number 113, and it just had the right OD and ID and thickness that I wanted. So that end is finished, and we'll keep moving on and get that the other end welded on there next. Okay guys, getting ready to hone that cylinder. It's not terribly long, but it's long enough where it's going to take a long stroke to get that honed properly. 1030 motor oil when you're honing makes a real nice lubricant. And do not go too fast with your drill motor. Basically 5 to 800 RPM is about all you want to be. I have a slow turning 1/2-inch air drill that I'm going to use. Don't chuck up a regular high-speed 3/8 drill or something like that. Keep your RPMs down and keep that hone moving in and out. It should only take about 30 seconds to do a cylinder, but when you enter the cylinder, hone should be spinning, and keep it spinning until you pull it out again. And like I say, plenty of oil. Keep it moving. 500 to 800 RPM. Any faster than that, and you're just going to wind up with some trouble. Same goes if you're honing engine cylinders or any kind of cylinder, or brake cylinder, anything. Keep the RPMs down, and it should work out okay. Let me see if I can get you some shots of the honing process. Okay guys, as you can see, there was plenty of oil slinging around. Don't be afraid to use the oil. Make a mess and clean it up later. Try and get you in there. It's hard to see right now, but a lot of shadows in there. But use plenty of oil. That's the only thing that's going to carry the grit away. And when you're finished, don't reach for solvent or anything like that to clean it out. Soap and water is the best thing to get rid of the grit that's left in there. I'm going to go wash this out, see what it looks like, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, the cylinder has been washed, re-washed, and then washed again with soap and water. And I stuck some rags down there, dried everything out. I don't know if you can see the nice cross hatch on there. Maybe without the light you can see it. The inside cleaned up perfectly. And take your time, make sure every last little bit of anything is out of there. Make sure all the grit from the honing process is out and there's no dirt in there. It won't take long if you leave dirt in there to ruin the seals and stuff. So I'm going to blow this out with air, run another couple rags down through there, blow it out again, and then we'll start putting it together. Okay, we're just about getting ready for assembly. Got the O-ring on, a light coat of oil on there. Piston goes on next. And then we'll put our 3/4 16 lock nut on there and tighten that down. And then I'll get the cylinder in the vise and I'll give it a light coat of oil in there, and we will insert the rod and piston in there. Be very careful that we don't mess up the seals or anything, and we'll get those inserted in there. So let me get a wrench. I'll tighten this nut down when I put it on. We'll get the cylinder oiled up and assemble that when I come right back with you. Okay guys, we're finally getting the piston and everything inside the cylinder. It's a little snug. We got a snap ring groove inside right there, so I had to kind of bang the piston seals through there. And we're finally up to the gland. Everything's real snug because it's new. But I'll oil up this O-ring, and then let's see if you can see that. there's a snap ring right here, and they give you this flat, just enough room to get in some snap ring pliers. Compress that, push the gland the rest of the way in, and catch that snap ring groove. It's a little tricky, but we'll ease that up there. Get a little oil on that O-ring. I don't want to tear anything up. And we'll carefully tap that in there. There goes the O-ring. There goes the O-ring by the groove. Now I'll get some snap ring pliers, fiddle around with this, compress that, bang it in, and make sure that that gland is set in there properly. Okay guys, there's a completed cylinder. Gland is in, everything is in place. I have an air fitting on here, and like I said, this is a single acting cylinder. So this side is the bottom, this is the top. There's a little breather right here. Hydraulic fluid will come in here. The piston is here. It'll push the rod up, and when you hit the lever to let it down, gravity will pull this, the weight of the snowblower unit will pull this down. So it's only one way, it's only single acting, goes that way. I can't control it real good, but I'll show you what's going to happen when the fluid goes in there. I'll just I'll put a little bit of air to it, try and control it the best I can. But when you hit the lever in the cab, hydraulic fluid you can see it'll pick it right up, and as long as that pump is running, that'll stay up. So you could drive around, transport the vehicle, and have the snow blower up. And then when you put the valve the other way, gravity will pull that right down. I don't know if you can hear it, but you hear there's air being drawn into there through that breather on that end as this comes out. And naturally, as the fluid pushes this piston up, air will seep out that way. So air will get pushed out when it goes up, and when it comes down, air will get sucked in there. And that's just how single acting cylinders work. So that's about all for this cylinder rebuild. It's finished. I'll paint it up yellow like the rest of the parts and get it mounted on the vehicle. And I hope you enjoyed seeing how a cylinder goes together. Like I say, we weren't able to get standard parts for this. You can't just call up and say, hey, I've got a 1962 Jeep, I need cylinder parts. So everything was carefully measured. I sourced a piston, piston seals, rod seal, rod wiper. So it's just what you have to do if you want to keep the original stuff. You can go out and buy a single acting cylinder, but when I looked for one, there was nothing that was the correct size. Way too short or way too long. So I thought it was best to rebuild this one. And I hope you learned something along the way. And if you liked the video, hit the like button. And spread the word. Trying to grow the channel all the time. So thanks for watching. And I will catch you on the next video.